Yigash, page 25 in the Chayinu. Yes, Yehuda shalach lefanav el Yosef lohiris lefanav Geishna. So Yaakov sent Yehuda in front of him to Yosef to instruct before him lohiris lefanav Geishna, to literally mean to instruct in front of him to Goshen, to instruct before his arrival to Goshen. By Avoy Arts Goshen, and they arrive in the land of Goshen. Rashi says, Lahoiros Lefanav. What does it mean? He instructed him in front of him. Kitalgumai, as Uncle translates it as Lefanis Lemakam Loiros Eichis Hashaba, to prepare a place for him and to show him how to settle it. To prepare a place before him and settle it. So basically instructing him to go ahead, survey and prepare things so when he comes, we need an Uzdan edition help here. Let me see what it says. They say to make advanced preparations in Goshen. Okay. Lefan of Rashi says, continuing, means Lefan of in front before Yaakov got there. To go prepare things before Yaakov got there. Umedrish Agada, the Medrash says, Lohedis Lefan of Lasakin Le Beis Talmish Misham Tetzahira. It means to establish a house of study from which teaching Torah would emanate. So simply, buy real estate, prepare the houses, or to prepare a Jewish school. Because lahorot is the same word as Torah. Torah means is a noun of instruction. All right, Chav Tes. Yosef harnessed his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet Yisrael, his father. He harnessed his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet Yisrael, his father. Okay. Vayed Elav, and Yosef appeared to him. Vayipol al tzavarav, and he fell on his neck. Vayevk al tzavarav, and wept on his neck. Oid, a great deal. Rashi, let's see. Vayeser Yosef merkavtoi. Yosef harnessed his chariot. Hu atzme asras asusim lamerkavel is daris l'chvei David. Yosef himself harnessed the horses to his chariot so as to act with alacrity in honor of his father. Harnessed the horses to show he really wants to go see his father. As a sign of respecting his father. But Yerei he appeared to him. Yosef Niralav, Yosef appeared to his father. Rashi, next page, 26. Vayev kal tzavarav oid, he wept on his neck, oid, again, literally. So Rashi says, L'shoin harbis b'chia, oid means this case, he cried again. What does it mean again? Again and again. He kept on crying profusely. V'chen ki lo ish yasem oid. As we see a similar term of the use of the word oid, in Eoiv, he does not place a man on oid. God does not accuse a person more than their sins. So to here, it means Yosef he increased and added in crying more than the norm. A great deal, profusely. Here it says Yosef was a one-way crying fest. Yaakov didn't say they cried at each other's necks. Seemingly they should both be crying, as we saw by Yosef and Binyamin. Why didn't Yaakov cry on him? He was reading the Shema. He was renewing his allegiance with God. Okay, Chavtes. Thirdly, Lamed. Vayemer Yisrael Yesa Musa Pam. Yisrael, Yaakov, then said to Yosef, if I were to die now, Acher Esias Panecha, literally like I could die now after I've seen your face. For you are still alive. Rashi, Amusa Hapam. The straightforward meaning is, as English translates it as, so it literally means I can die now that I saw your face. But actually, Rashi translates it as, Ilu ana ma'is timna hada. English translate. Ilu ana ma'is timna hada menachmana. If I were to die now, I would die comforted. That's the more particular meaning the Rashi likes. If I would die now, I can die now. Like, why should he die? If I were to die now, I would die comforted. Okay, Medrash, the Midrash, the Medrash on this is a little different. Savri silamud shtei misais vel mazel haba shtal meni shchina vayisem yeshiv eini hakadosh baruch hu misascha. Till now, I thought I would have two deaths. One physical, when his time comes, and one in the afterlife. Because when you disappeared, the Shechina departed from me, Yaakov. I thought I did something wrong. I didn't protect you or whatever it was. The Hashem would blame me for your death. So I'd have to, quote unquote, die or be punished in the afterlife. But now that I see you're alive and I didn't really do anything, I will only die once, like regular. Yosef said to his brothers and to his father's household, let me go up and tell Pharaoh and say to him, my brothers and my father's household were in the land of Canaan have come to me. I'm going to say to Pharaoh, my brothers and my father's household from Canaan came to me. Okay. I'm going to say the next thing as well in Lamed Beis. And I'm going to continue saying, people, 32, verse 32, Lamed Beis. The people, that the men, my family members are shepherds. For they have been livestock dealers. And their sheep and their goats and cattle, they brought their sheep, goats, and cattle, everything that is theirs. Okay. Lamed Gimel, next page, verse 33. Now when Pharaoh summons you and asks, what is your occupation? Lamed Daled. You should answer, your servants have been livestock. So when Pharaoh then calls you to meet the family, you should say, we indeed are livestock dealers from youth till now. Not only we, but even our fathers. Like, Yaakov, Yitzchak, Avram, are all livestock dealers. Bavur Teisha et Goshen, so that you may live in the land of Goshen. Any shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians.
This is very interesting.
Rashi. Bavur Teisha et Goshen. Say all this, which is true, but I guess stress it to him, so you'll be able to live in Goshen. Because Goshen was a land of pasture. Since you require it, Goshen, which is a land of pasture, so if you tell him you're inexperienced in any other work, he'll send you far away from him and settle you there. For any shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians, lefi shem lem alihus, because the sheep are deities to them. I always wonder, why do they let it happen? If they're so like, why do they let the Egyptians worship sheep? Why do they allow shepherds to exist?
Exactly. Why does that happen?
I don't know.
I always wonder that too.
We call in Yiddish a klutz kasha. It's an obvious question, right? It's a unaddressed obvious question. Like, if we don't like, if they really deify sheep, then why do they let shepherds do their thing?
So much sugar.
No, that's not.
Well, they also worshiped the Nile. They had so many gods. I guess they weren't all important in the end.
Let's see if they. Um, hmm, one second. I'm just looking up. It says here. Interesting. According to a super commentary in Rashi, they hate shepherds because shepherds know sheep aren't divine. It's it's the Wizard of Oz. They show the shepherd and the sheep are nothing.
Egyptians think that? You say anything?
Oh, there's another way of saying it actually. So the other way of saying is that they abomination is sometimes euphemism for idolatry. They actually respected shepherds because they're taking care of their little gods. That's interesting. Ibn Ezra says this verse that every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians shows that in those days the Egyptians did not eat meat and did not permit anyone to slaughter sheep. This is still the custom among the Indians. Holy cow, right? The Egyptians consider shepherds an abomination because they drink milk. People of India, till this very day, do not eat or drink anything derived from a living creature. This is in the 1500s, 1400s.
Where are you reading from, Rabbi?
I'm reading someone did a paper on this. Anyways, I'd have to look it up elsewhere. Okay, let's continue on. Yeah.
Right there, you read, it says that they took care of their Getchkins, right?
Yeah.
Before, it said they hate them because they're, Jews are shepherds. So isn't that
The word toyavas didn't say hate. It said any shepherd is a toyavas. It says ki toyavas mitzrayim koretz, and all shepherds are an abomination to the Egyptians. But another way of learning it is that abomination, we know elsewhere, means idolatry. So it's the exact opposite. They think shepherds are so great because they allow their idolatry. They take care of their idolatry. It's interesting. Okay. Let's go back to Pemzai Aleph. Yosef then came and told Pharaoh, saying, so he said, he did his plan. He said, my fathers, my brothers, their sheep, their goats, their cattle, everything they own, they came from the land of Canaan. And they are here in the land of Goshen. He took some of his brothers. He took from among his brothers 5 men. And he presented them before Pharaoh. Rashi. He took from some of his brothers. So Rashi translates that he took minapuchusim shvem. He took the weaker brothers that don't look so strong. Because if you'd show them, Yehuda, the strong, oh my gosh, these guys, Pharaoh would say, I want them as my generals. Who were the five that he took? Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Yisachar, Binyamin. They did not look very mighty. Even though Shimon and Levi, wiped out a town, apparently they didn't look so brawny. The names of the strong ones he repeated. I'm sorry. The ones that when Moshe later on does not repeat their names in the blessings of Moshe before he dies, those ones are signs they're weaker, they're weaker relative to the other brothers. But the names of the strong brothers are where Moshe repeated. Zoisli Yehuda, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda, Ulagad Amar Baruch Marchiv Gad, Naftali Amar Naftali, Ladan Amar Dan, V'chim Lezvulun, Asher. So 7 of the brothers, their names are doubled to sign of they were stronger than the other 5. In other words,
where are you reading?
Reading Rashi, page 28.
All right.
This is the version of Bereshis Rabbah, which is known as the Agada of the land of Israel. Interesting. The Medrash Rabbah is one of the books of Medrash. It tells us it's the Agada of Israel. It's also, it says in footnote 38, it's ascribed to the sage Rabbi Hoshea, who was a Amora of the land of Israel. Because most of the people quoted in the Medrash of Midrash Rabbah are going to be the Israel scholars versus the Babylonian. Side point. Okay, Aval, the Gemara Bavli is Shalanu, but in our Talmudic, Babylonian Talmud, which has its own, scattered Medrash, Hema Chaloshim, I'm sorry, we find those that Moshe doubled their names are actually the ones that were weaker. And those are the ones he brought to Pharaoh. Besides, Yehuda was doubled for another reason, not for, because Yehuda, whatever, it's a story why he had to double his name. He was actually strong. But the other 6 brothers, Gad, Naphtali, they're actually weaker.
Well, Yehuda was the leader of the brothers.
Right. It says in Baba Kama, and the Braisa of Sifri of Zesta Bracha, we have the same version as our Talmud.
Basically, the mentality of the brother that
basically it's an argument in the Midrash Rabbah versus the Gemara, the Talmud Bavli, of who are the weaker brothers initially, who are the naturally weaker disposition brothers. Okay, Dal Gimel. Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What do you do? What's your occupation?" He said to Pharaoh, "We are shepherds. Your servants are shepherds. Not only we, but our fathers." Dalit. They said to Pharaoh, "We've come to settle in the land. For there's no pasture for the sheep and goats that belong to your servants. Since the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. And now, may your servants please live in the land of Goshen." Dalit. Hey. Yosef Lemar. Pari said to Yosef to tell his brothers, "Avicha ve'achecha ba'elecha." Your father and your brothers have come to you. Your father and your brothers have come to you. Okay. Vav, Eretz Mitzrayim Levnachi, the land of Egypt is at your disposal. The mate of ours, settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Yeshvu Beretz Goshen, settle in Goshen. If you know that there are capable men among them, appoint them as livestock managers over my sheep and goats. Rashi, Anshe Chayil, B'kiyem b'munasam l'reis hasayin. It usually means soldiers. Here means capable men who know their occupation of sheep shepherding. Allah Shali, and then if they're basically said, put them over my sheep. I guess Pharaoh had some holy sheep that he kept.
So the sheep just live and exist on their own?
I guess that's what it seems like to me. Maybe they used it for
Like
wolves.
people.
It sounds like they wouldn't let them slaughter them. They would only allow them for wool, maybe, or fertilizer, as an example.
That's a good idea.
Allah Shali over what is mine on my sheep. Okay, Zion, Zion. Pasuk Zion, verse 7. The Yavi Yosef Yaakov Aviv. Yosef then brought Yaakov his father and presented him before Pharaoh. Yaakov his father, and Yaakov greeted Pharaoh. Okay, Zion, Vivarach Yaakov. Yaakov then blessed. He shel shalom derek kanidim l'fnei malachim l'frakim. This was a greeting of peace, as is the manner of all who occasionally appear before kings. Saluer in Old French. Blessing means it's a salutation. Tes aches vayim parei Yaakov. So Pharaoh said to Yaakov, "Kami me'ashnei. How many years is your life? How old are you?" Tes vayim Yaakov Paris. Yaakov said to Pharaoh, "Yimei mugurai. The days of my sojourning, shloishim hashana, have been 130 years. Me'at v'royim hoyu yimei shnei chayai. The years of my life have been short and harsh. Yeah. And my days have not approached the years of my father's lifetimes in the days of their sojourning." Rashi, Shnei Megurai, the days of Gerusi, the days of my life. He threw in there that my whole life I've been a non-citizen. I've been a sojourner. They have not approached in the goodness. I mean, he wasn't talking that I did not live as long as my fathers, because he might still live as long. He wasn't about to die now. Maybe he'll live as long as Yitzchak and Avram. It meant that my days have not approached the goodness, the pleasantness of their days. I had a much harder life. Yud, final verse 10. Vayvarach Yaakov es parei. So Yaakov then blessed Pharaoh, vayetzav bnei Pharaoh, and he left Pharaoh's presence. Rashi, Vayvarach Yaakov, kederech kol niftarim l'fnei resodim, vayvarach ma'asem l'nishus. So he said earlier, he blessed him as a salutation, as a greeting. Now, as he was departing, the custom is when you leave a king, you give them a blessing to get permission to leave. What was the blessing? Ma bracha bercha. What bracha did he bless him with? That the river Nile should rise to his, when he comes to near the Nile, the water should rise for him, like a miracle. Because the land of Egypt does not have rainwater, rather they depend on the Nile to flow and irrigate their fields. So whenever Yaakov's blessing made a miracle, every time Pharaoh approached the Nile, it would rise up and water over the irrigation canals.
Wow.
And that ends today's Chumash.